Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate if you jump on here live here on this Wednesday evening. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Since it is a hump day, it's time for another weekly top 10 countdown. And either last week or 2 weeks ago, I did a video on top 10 most watched college football games from 2025. Good evening, Kevron. Glad to have you here as always. So I figured this week what I would do was top 10 most watched TV shows from 2025. That way I'm not specifying a network or a time slot or, what kind of TV show as far as comedy, drama, whatever. I just said top 10 2025 most watched shows. Hey there, Marcus. I'm doing fantastic. Hope you are as well. And Marcus, just for you, in my video yesterday, I did a NASCAR Cup Series preview where I talked about the 36 full-time drivers this year. I went in numerical order and named each driver and who their crew chief is this year. I try to do one of those every year, at least for the Cup Series. It's still 2.5 weeks away from the start of the regular season, but I figured since you asked, I would go ahead and do it. So I did that yesterday. So I hope you go back and watch that video if you have not seen it yet. But this shows you how popular the NFL is, because I got on Google and typed up top 10 most watched TV shows from 2025, and I wrote them down, and 9 of the top 10 most watched things on TV last year was the NFL. The only one that's not is also a sporting event, but the top 10 most watched things on TV last year, 9 of them was the NFL. That's why the NFL can do what they want, because no matter what they do, people watch. People complain when they started playing on Christmas because they felt like it took away from the NBA. But guess what? People still watch. They complain they started playing on Fridays because they feel like that's high school day. Well, guess what? When they play on Fridays, people still watch. So when you're that popular, you can do what you want. And that's how popular the NFL is. So that's why they can play whenever they want to, do what they want to, make a rule they want to, because people still watch. Hey there, Chase. Glad to have you here. Hey there, Brody. Glad to have you here. Hey there, Sam. Glad to have you here. And I think it's the first time I've seen y'all's names in the comment section. If it is y'all's first time being here for whatever reason made y'all stop by the channel tonight, thank you very much. Feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. And tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. And by the way, that picture you see behind me, right about there, that was actually a drawing that was drawn by a young man that goes to my church. He likes to try to be an artist and just sketch stuff, and he sketched a picture of me in my referee shirt. So that's what you see behind me. I've had that for probably 6 months now. I just don't very often do a video sitting in this particular spot, so it has not been seen yet. But while it's sitting right behind me, I wanted to go ahead and tell everybody what that is. That is a picture of me drawn by somebody at church in my referee outfit. And appreciate the kind words, Brody. I really, really do. And Brody, I'm glad you asked that question, and I'd have to think about it because I honestly don't know because I watch the NFL because I love football and I don't really have a team. So therefore, I don't really have a player because I just watch it for the love of football. Now, when it comes to college football, I'm a Clemson fan, so I'm going to pull for anybody that plays for Clemson while they're in college. But once they leave Clemson, I don't necessarily care anymore. Now, back in the day when Clemson had to go through all the years of, Tommy West and Tommy Bowden, I did because back in those days, Clemson just didn't get a lot of talent. So when they had a good player, you made sure you followed their career. But now that Dabo's the coach, just about every team in the NFL has a player from Clemson. So if I'm going to pull for a team that has a Clemson player, I'm going to be a fan of every team in the NFL, and I'm not doing that. So I don't really have a certain team, so I don't really have a certain player. But Brody, I'll think about that and keep following the channel, and I'll try to come back in a couple days and give you an answer. Let the video play, Brody, while you go eat. That's the great thing about YouTube is you don't have to see me. You can just hear me. But let's go ahead and get into this week's top 10 countdown. And hey there, Harry Teeth. Glad to have you here. Number 10 was a Sunday night football game between the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. 24,054,000 viewers. Number 9, Sunday night football. Detroit Lions versus the Kansas City Chiefs. 24,742,000 viewers. And I think you're right, Brody. I think Seattle wins, and I talked about it on Monday, but I also mentioned it in my video yesterday because somebody asked me about it in the comment section yesterday. New England still has times where they struggle to get to 14, 17 points, and I just don't see New England beating Seattle with 17 points. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it. Now, if the Pats can go out there and score 27, they can win. But there's just certain times this year where their offense just disappears. So because of that, I'll go with Seattle, but I think it'll be a good game either way. And Chase says the Patriots. So we already have a New England prediction and a Seattle prediction. Number 8, the Thursday night special, Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. 25,492,000. Number 7, Sunday night football, Minnesota Vikings versus Detroit Lions. 25,988,000. Number 6 was a playoff game, the Washington Commanders against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 26,388,000. And again, 10 through 6, Sunday night football, Green Bay, Dallas. Sunday night football, Detroit, Kansas City. Thursday night football, Cincinnati, Baltimore. Sunday night football, Minnesota and Detroit. And a playoff game, the Commanders versus the Bucs. This is the top 10 most watched things on television in 2025. By the way, I got this list off of Variety.com if you want to go read the article as it tells you. I didn't get it off a sports website. I actually got it off a website that talks about all kind of TV shows. So I don't know why they would lie and make like 9 of the top 10 was the NFL if it wasn't, because Variety's not working with the NFL. They don't care who watches what. They get paid regardless. Number 5 was Game 7 of the World Series. Of course, that was the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays, and it had 27,053,000. It was the only thing in the top 10 that was not the National Football League. Number 4, NFC playoff game. Washington Commanders and Detroit Lions had 35 million and 17,000. Number 3, AFC divisional playoffs. Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens, 43,135,000. Number 2, AFC championship. Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills, 57,766,000. And the most watched thing on TV last year was, of course, the Super Bowl 59, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was by far number 1. It had more than double of number 2, 126,659,000. This past year, Chase, if I had to make a prediction, now this is just off the top of my head based on what I watched. So I have not seen any kind of final rankings as far as who was where. But the best defense that I saw was the Denver Broncos. I don't know what they actually ranked. I don't really care about the rankings. I go by what I see. And to me, it was the Denver Broncos. But that just shows you how popular the NFL is. And I do believe this list is accurate because, as I said, first of all, it comes off of Variety.com. And Variety is not a sporting outlet, so they don't care how watched the NFL is. It doesn't affect what they do whatsoever. But second of all, I can recall at the end of 2024, I remember hearing people say that 9 of the 10 most watched things in 2024 was the NFL. So it's not a shock that it was the same way again in 2025. And that's why the NFL is a monopoly, because it doesn't matter what time they play, where they play, what day they play, people are going to watch. Any other thing comes on TV, and people will say, well, people got to work, blah, blah, blah. But I guarantee you the NFL could go overseas somewhere and play a live football game on a Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock Pacific Time, and I guarantee you it would easily have at least 25 million viewers. Not even close. Because when the NFL is on, people watch. And they change their rules every year, and people always complain about the new rules and what they've done and can't believe they did it, and they're destroying football. But guess what? Come September, people watch. And that's why the NFL does what they do, because they figured out it don't matter what they do, people are going to watch. I guarantee they could come out after the Super Bowl next weekend when they have their end of season meetings. They could come out and say, you know what? We're tired of people getting hurt. Starting in 2026, there's no more tackling. It's going to be flag football. I guarantee you, come next season on Sundays, people are still all over the world going to line up and watch the NFL. Thank you for asking, Chase. No, I did not. I played, of course, recreational ball when I was in school. But believe it or not, I was a late bloomer. And when I was in high school, I was itty bitty. I might have weighed $150 when I was 18 years old. I mean, I was tiny. So football never crossed my mind because I knew at my size, more than likely, if I joined the team, I'm probably not going to play. If I do play, somebody's going to cream me because of how tiny I was. And I was a late bloomer, so I always watched football growing up. But I never considered playing because of how tiny I was. And then right after high school, I fell in love with wrestling and become a referee. So it never crossed my mind growing up. Now, had I been bigger, maybe so, because I always enjoyed watching it and always enjoyed going to my local high school and watching on Friday nights. but there were kids in 6th grade that were bigger than I was when I was 18. So I never thought about it because of how tiny I was. Now, the high school I went to is not known for necessarily having big boys, but even the smallest player was bigger than I was. I think I was 5'6", 150 my last year of high school. So I was a tiny, tiny man when I was in high school. But thank you for asking, Chase. I appreciate that. Any more thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I just gave up my addiction to chocolate, marshmallow, and nuts. I won't lie, it was a rocky road. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love